Hi, everyone.
Hey, Amanda.
I'm sorry about the technology hijinks.
I
I managed to misplace my phone and everything alongside everything else, so I couldn't even call people to. Anyway, here we are. Hooray. We have we have
We've all
made
been
it.
there.
I'm gonna rename it so you all know it's actually me. Hooray. Okay. So we have everyone, and it is after 5 o'clock, so we can officially
or
declare this 4 o'clock. No worries. It's been a day. It is officially after 4 o'clock, which is when the meeting was warned for. So we can officially get our meetings started. Thank you so much, everyone, first of all, for your service and for working together on the City Manager Search Committee, which is going to be a crucially important next step for the future of Barre. The first thing that I want to do in this meeting is a sort of combination of introductions. Well, first of all, does anyone have an adjustment to the agenda that they would like to make? Anything you don't see it's going to be a very full agenda anyway, but is there anything you don't see that you wish you saw or would like to see before we get started on that?
No.
Carol?
Not an adjustment, but do you know where this was posted? I couldn't seem to find it anywhere.
I sent it to the public notice thing and got confirmation that it had been posted.
Okay,
Um,
because I didn't see it on the website. I just want to make sure that we're getting off on the right foot. That's all.
okay, it's on the website under the city manager section,
Okay. It's not
not under
under
the regular
committees. Okay.
committee
and there
section.
wasn't a password or an ID, which that's what threw me off. But
I have some Zoom stuff to iron out. We will get it
that's fine.
settled for next time.
I'm a rookie Zoomer, believe me. So I'm not believe me, I'm not criticizing at all.
Yeah. So, Carol, I know for sure it was posted on the website.
Okay.
Um,
I looked under committees and if there's anything I can do, in City Hall to help with postings and
Thank you.
notifications and stuff like that, just let me know.
I will certainly do so. Thank you. It's definitely on the it's under city manager instead of under committees, slightly confusingly. But all righty. So with no adjustments to the agenda, and I do not see anyone here for public comment, which is the next line on our agenda. And as a note, we are recording this, and this will be on the city website going forward, et cetera, as with all city committee meetings. Our first item on our agenda is committee member introductions, and I would like to sort of go around the virtual room, introduce yourself. I think most people sort of know or know of each other, with perhaps the exception of Dom, who has been on email chains with you and has been at council, but has not yet sort of been talked to most of you. And then at the close of introductions, council has asked me to chair this committee, but we will need a vice chair and also a secretary to make sure that that we have notes and that those are submitted to the city in a timely manner. So while we're doing introductions, ponder whether you're interested in either of those two positions. And at the end of the introductions, we will settle that committee business. Does that sound good?
Okay.
All right. I will start and then I'll popcorn and pick someone else. When you finish introducing, pick someone else who hasn't introduced themselves yet. So you all know me, but Amanda Gustin, representing Ward 2 on the Barre City Council. Very pleased and honored to be chairing the City Manager Search Committee to get this work started for Barre City. I was on the last search committee, starting as vice chair and then moving to chair with the resignation of the chair at the time, and closing out that process. And so I've been saying to people, now I need to pull a second rabbit out of my hat and find another really terrific city manager for us going forward. I will move it along to Dominic Cloud as our next person.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Dominic Cloud. I currently serve as the city manager in my day job in St. Albans. Been there for 18 years. And several years ago, the league asked me to uh, moonlight and help run manager searches on behalf of the league. As I mentioned to the council as part of my intro with them, it's probably the most important decision you make. You get the right fit and you can accomplish a lot, and they stick around. Um, you get the wrong fit and you spin your wheels and all your strategic objectives get put in they just grow. You don't make any progress. So um, that's part of why I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun and I'm excited about working with you. We'll go to the PW director.
My name is Brian Baker. I'm Public Works Director. I've been here for approximately 3 years, and before that, I had 30 years in the private consulting engineering side. I'm eager to be part of this because um, I'm really sad to see Nicholas go. So I'm a very willing participant to try to get someone to fill his shoes. Let's go with Carol.
Carol Dawes, I'm the longest serving amongst all of you. I was on the council for 2 years. I was city clerk and treasurer for 16 years. I've been the TIF administrator for the city for I don't know, 12 years or so. And I returned a year ago as treasurer. So those are all the various and sundry roles that I play, and I'm one step ahead of the law at all given times. So, and I'll call on Josh.
Hi, my name is Josh Jerome. I'm the executive director for Barre Area Development. Been with BADC for just over a year now, but very familiar with Barre. Was the downtown director for 4 years. Worked for Community Capital Vermont when they were downtown Barre too. So I love Barre, and I'm honored to be on this committee to find a city manager because we have a lot of projects in the pipeline, a lot of needs, and we need a strong city manager. So I'll pass it over to Don.
Hi, I'm Don Ruthier. I'm councilman for Ward 3. I'm a rookie councilman. I grew up in Ward 3. I have a degree in liberal arts and political science. I'm a local businessman. And again, I came back to Barre to get involved in the politics. And I was selected to be on this committee, which I'm very proud of. And looking forward to working with all of you. Renita, I'm choosing you next.
Thanks, Dawn. I'm Renita Marshall. I am a lifelong resident of Barre City, and I also have a nonprofit that I run out of Barre City. So I work with a lot of you in various capacities, whether that is trying to plan events or get some donations from you. Hint, hint, Dawn. And so I bring that perspective to this meeting. I'm really excited about helping in this process. I apologize for my appearance today. Today, my biggest role was the cool aunt who chaperoned a field trip, and I am just returning from that. So, with that, I will pass it off to Tracy.
Thanks, Renita. I'm Tracy Lewis. I'm the executive director of the Barre Partnership. I have been the director of the partnership for 7 years. I was on the search committee when Nicholas was hired, and I am excited to be on this committee to help try to find someone to replace Nicholas. I've enjoyed working with him over the last 3 years. It's been a bumpy ride with the floods and everything, but he's handled everything really well, and I'd like to find someone that can continue the forward movement of Barre City. And Jeannie?
Yes. Hi, I'm Jean Galliano. I'm the Director of Human Resources for Barre City. I started in September of 2024. Prior to this, I worked at Rock of Ages. I worked at GW Plastics, and I actually moved to Vermont in 2014. So I'm not a lifelong Vermonter. I grew up in New York, but I love Vermont and always have. So I'm excited to be on this team and kind of help with this process.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. So first of all, you reiterated it by your introductions, but this is a really strong committee. I'm thrilled to have all of you working with us. We've got a ton of different experiences and different perspectives on Barre. So I think it's going to be a really good mix going forward. So I told you all to think about while we were doing introductions, whether anyone was interested in doing serving as vice chair, and that's the role of that is to step in when the chair is unavailable. If I get, we won't use hit by a bus, win the lottery, I don't know. If I can't attend or anything like that, the vice chair would run the meetings and set up the agenda for the next meeting and so forth. And the secretary would take notes and ensure that they come in a timely manner. Is anyone interested in serving as vice chair? Don't all jump at once.
I'm happy to be note taker.
All right, leapfrogged that. Are there any objections to Carol can I get a motion for Carol as secretary if that's the will of the group?
I'll do a motion for Carol to be
Thank you.
secretary
I'll
of the
second
committee.
it.
Thank you. Motion is made and seconded. Are there any further discussion on that motion? All right, hearing and seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, Carol, are you already taking notes?
Yep.
You're the best. Thank you.
I didn't think I'd be fighting anybody for the honor, so.
I appreciate you. Is anyone interested in serving as vice chair of the committee?
I
I
vote for
nominate
Josh.
Josh.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, go
What
for it,
did-
Josh.
I didn't hear either of you. What did you say?
Josh Jerome.
Josh.
Josh.
I'll be vice chair.
I hear
All
that
right.
as a move and a second.
Second.
Any discussion of that motion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Congratulations, I'm sorry, Josh. You are
Happy to
now
be here.
officially vice chair. All right. Thank you, everyone. With that committee business taken care of, I will turn it over to Dom, who will run us through the next two agenda items.
Excellent. One of our first work products is a promotional piece, and it's one of the first marketing efforts that prospective candidates see. We'll work together to find the right language, and then I'll work with a graphic designer on a layout and some photos that inspire confidence. Barry's got a lot of great visuals, great town, and I think we can put a really good message out there. The council has set a very competitive salary, which is one of the most important elements. And so, great community, great job, well compensated, well marketed. I think we can get some good candidates for you. But I need help in figuring out how to create an accurate image. What's the opportunity at this time? There's lots of different types of managers. You have managers that are consensus builders. You have managers that are technicians. You have managers that are transformative disruptors. And you have managers who, the whole spectrum. So we need to have a conversation about the type of manager you're looking for, and that derives in large part from what's going on. What are the challenges? Sometimes you're coming off of a financial history. Sometimes you have a lot of focus on economic development. You've got some pretty big investments in economic development already, but I know you have some things on the plate in that realm as well. So what I like to do is just lead folks through this list of questions that I circulated, if that's okay. But before I do that, I would open it up for general questions or observations.
I would share one, which is I think this is a phenomenal list of questions, and I hope part of our conversation about them will include how we're going to ask the broader Barre City community. I know we've talked, or I had shared out that I am hoping to design a robust public participation process. So part of our brainstorming can also be how can we then get these questions answered both by the Barre City community, and by that I mean broadly speaking, residents as well as employees of Barre City.
So to the employee end, one of the things we often do is circulate this a similar set of questions to the employees and ask them to send it in. And so that's an option as well. All right, anything else macro? All right, let's jump into it. I'll pose the question, and whoever is inspired to weigh in, it's usually pretty fluid. It's a conversation, and one question can lead into the other. So, um, what are the community's greatest strengths and assets? Think in terms of economic, social, cultural, environmental.
So I'll happily jump in with this. It is the community pride that we have and the fact that we do take care of each other within our community. Looking at the next question where it says something that you're proud of, if you just look at the response we had during flooding, it was overwhelming. Over 200 volunteers on that first day just showing up, didn't care what they had to do, didn't care how dirty they got. There's that huge sense of pride within Barre and the history surrounding mostly, our granite industry, the immigrants that have come to Barre, started Barre, all of that, I think are key areas to focus on, because Barre is very prideful. True Barre lovers don't ever call it, Scary Barre. So, I think that that's one of our greatest assets is just the people that are actually here.
Mhm.
I'd like to add something to what Renita said. There was a point probably back in the 50s that Barre was probably the fastest growing municipality in this area, probably within the whole state because of the Irish, the French, the Italian. And even though a lot of them have grown old or have died, we still have that ethnic togetherness here. Granted, the Rock of Ages and the granite industry has really took a toll on our city. And not to get into a bunch of personal, but when I was growing up, I lived in the North End, and my paper route was from Willie Street to Beckley Hill, and every street was well manicured little houses. They all worked in the granite shed, paid their bills, kept their lawns, paid their paper boy, which was me, and we seem to have lost that, especially in the North End, and not just because I'm Ward 3, but um, I really am looking for someone who's business oriented, economic development. I think our police force needs to be looked at, and I think our fire department is doing pretty well, but I don't want to get into all this because we're still early in the stage, but that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
All right, let's stay on the positive side and let's come back.
Mhm.
Those are good things done. Um, Other positives. I'm hearing the community identity, sense of cohesion, and also caring for each other. Um,
The
Hearing
downtown is great. Architecture is beautiful. That ties in with the granite industry, but yeah, the old buildings are some of the most unique in Vermont. And we have a bunch of granite statues all over the community that really stand out.
what are some other major employers now beyond Granite?
In
Or
downtown Barre,
yeah, well, in
we've got
Barre, in
the
the city as
we've
a
got the
whole.
state.
Hmm.
The state is downtown. Tracy probably has a better idea of who's got the biggest um, teams downtown. Um, because I would also throw out that everything that the Berry Partnership does is a huge bonus. We have events going on all the time, community events going on all the time. Um, where local businesses are doing events, those are all getting promoted. There's always something going on in downtown Barre. But I would let Tracy speak more to that.
Yeah, I say we've got Lenny's, we've got RK Miles, we've got the probably the best hardware store in Central Vermont, Nelson Ace Hardware. We've just got some amazing businesses, amazing business owners that have put their heart and soul into this community. And yeah.
Yeah. Beyond businesses, I would add briefly that Capstone and Downstreet are both headquartered in Barre, Downstreet Housing, and they both likely would count as extremely high employee counts. Although they both work throughout the region, their main offices are here in Barre City.
Good point.
The biggest employer in the city is the school system.
Okay.
Hmm.
How about the hospital? Is that an employer for you?
In a small, lesser degree, they have a pretty sizable clinic on the south end of town. But that's pretty much it for their footprint in the city.
And even not necessarily, uh, they don't have to be in the city, but if people work there, I'm trying to describe the region, right?
Oh, the National Life Group. I work
Yeah.
at National Life Group. A
Yeah.
lot of our teammates choose to live in Barre. They've moved from out of state. When they're coming to work, they typically are choosing Barre. And the reason for that is because the housing in Montpelier is more difficult. It's above stores. There isn't parking. And so if you move into Barre, you have more options for a neighborhood type housing.
Tell me
Also,
about the neighborhoods.
Barry's
Um,
more affordable
Mhm.
than Montpelier.
Definitely.
I was hearing Don talk about some of the challenges facing the neighborhoods. And I didn't get a chance to drive around last time I was in town. Tell me about the neighborhoods. What are they like?
I would say that they're actually an historic strength of Barre City.
Mhm.
That it is a tremendously neighborhood focused city. That the neighborhoods are tight knit, and that the layout of the streets of the city is set up to encourage neighborhood thinking. That has been a long-term sort of way the city has developed,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and it has the second oldest housing stock in the state, but I will fight anyone, the best housing stock in at least
Mhm.
central Vermont, if not the state, because it is beautiful old architecture that wasn't torn down and messed up by mid-century sort of boringness. And there are a ton of houses that need just a little bit of love to come back and be really, really spectacular. There was a really solid foundation of good housing, really, really good, well done housing stock from like 1890 to 1930 during the really boom years of the granite industry. And
Yep.
now those might need electricity or something like that, but that means that they are phenomenal. You've got a good base to work from and a good bargain to find.
Great.
I
Great.
also I think that also that the neighborhoods are, if they're shown that, and I'm not saying Nick hasn't, because I think Nick is very intelligent, but I think if they see a city manager who cares about them, and we're not Ward 1, 2, and 3, we're Barry City, we're all together. And if you got to have some compassion, some of these people have went through a lot of stuff, and I'm not just Ward 3. In other words, I think they got to bring everybody together again. And you're going to see, I can remember as a kid, the Heritage Festival was unreal. Not that it's come a long ways. Thanks a lot, part to Tracy. I just, I think they need to show that we care about them. And that's, a lot of and I'm not really a big social media person. And you won't even find me on Facebook, but they think that the council and everybody's ignoring them. And I'm not saying it's true, but once if someone says the sky's gray long enough, they believe it's gray. So I believe that a good, solid manager who shows compassion and it cares for the people will go a long way.
Yep. And even though the north end of Barrie has taken a huge hit, they still have a ton of pride in
Yep.
their neighborhood, which is one of
That
the reasons that they haven't just sold their houses out and said, okay, let FEMA come in, tear it down, and we won't rebuild the north end. They are standing their ground and saying, This is my neighborhood. This has
Yep.
been my home for 50 years, and I don't want to just walk away from this. And so, even though they've been devastated multiple times, they are still standing there saying, no, this is my neighborhood.
Hmm.
And I get it. I am in the North End. I'm fortunately up on the hill. I did not get flooded. Minor damage compared to anything that anybody sustained, but we chose this 1898 home because it was in a neighborhood and I wanted that feel for my children. And
Hmm.
20 years later, the woman who still lives next door to me is buying presents for my soon to be born grandson because we have developed those kinds of relationships. And that's what I think of when I think of where do I want to live? Where do I want to raise my children? And where do I want my grandchildren to grow up? So, and I think that we have that. Even in the devastated neighborhoods, we still
I
have that.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I will add that those neighborhoods are beautifully situated around, as Josh described, a really vibrant downtown. In 8 minutes, I can walk to the movie theater and the best pizza in the state,
Yeah.
and I still live in a neighborhood, like in
Yep,
a tree-lined, like close-knit, houses neighborhood. And Berry City has some challenges because it is so small, but it also has tremendous advantages because it is because it is so small. You can walk anywhere comfortably and easily between neighborhoods and up and down to the downtown. So that's helpful.
absolutely.
So there's a lot of Americana there, right? You got a resilient community, highly walkable, tree-lined streets, probably got some big porches on big old homes. Um, right? It's a John Cougar Mellencamp song.
Yeah.
Am I getting it? There.
Yeah,
That's how
Okay.
we feel about it anyway. And I would add, like to all of this, that it did have a sort of economic slump, but that we are now poised for some really phenomenal things.
Okay.
That there's been a ton of really good work in recent years to shore up the basics of what we need to be a thriving sort of 21st century city,
Mhm.
and that we have just tremendous growth opportunity. And
So tell me,
sorry, John.
no, it's all right. I was just going to pivot off of that. Go ahead.
I wanted to add to another sort of semi-unrelated, and then we can pivot, which is that we have a phenomenal city staff. That we have really, really good department heads. We have really good employees, many, many long-serving, decades plus of service of people who are dedicated to the city and working hard and doing a really good job. So I think that's a strength for an income for the city in general, but for an incoming city manager especially.
Others agree with that? Stable department head team. There's no heavy lift. There's no charismatic, long-serving department head who grew up here that the city manager needs to get rid of.
No,
Okay.
no, but I'll say thank you, Amanda.
Tell me about that vision, Amanda. You were talking about the poised for potential. What is that vision?
depends who you ask.
Is there consensus on what the vision is, or is it um,
I don't
I
think
think,
there's consensus, but I do think that there are facets of the same prism.
mhm,
okay?
I think that everybody, certainly everybody on this screen and in the community sees what's great about this community, sees where there's opportunity and potential. There might be some differences in how that's interpreted,
Mhm.
but I think everybody's heading in the right direction.
Are
I
the
would
opp-
agree with you.
are the opportunities? Is there a growth orientation? Okay.
I think so. I'd be curious to hear others' opinions.
Yeah, I think the affordability of Barry has driven a lot of in migration. The median age is 42. It had been 41 for quite a while. At the same time, Barry Town's median age is 48. So it's an aging community right next door to us.
Yeah.
And I think all of us have seen just a steady flow of younger families, professionals moving into the city. They've opened up businesses. They've helped diversify the community, and that is part of the strength. And they are helping to grow, and they all see the same thing we do. Like they all see opportunity. They're like, wow, this is a really cool community. They're so happy to be here.
Okay.
And it's been it's different. They're providing different viewpoints and attitudes, and I think it's all positive.
I'd
Yeah.
agree with that too. And I don't want to just harp on, Nicholas doing it, but I think, in my 3 years here with Nicholas, I think he's been guiding us to that, and I think that's where we want to continue. Is that moving forward, I feel on the public works side that him and I have accomplished a lot in the last 3 years that, stuff that should have been done years ago. And that's where I think that, if we can continue with that, I think that that's one of our strengths is that we the staff here wants to continue that to I guess rebuild Barry, on my end with the infrastructure in the buildings, and everything has been, I wouldn't say ignored, but it's been neglected for years. And we've been really trying to change that and make that part of our a strength for us. But it's an ongoing battle. But that's one thing that as far as the staff side is, we do have the pride in what we do, and we want to make this community better. And I think that's part of our strength, also coming from a staff portion.
I'd like to add something to that. I mean, everything we're talking about is about the beauty of Barry, the architect, the heritage. And one of the main things growing up in Barry was tourism. But we had 7 motels. Now, where are you going to stay if you come into Barry? Okay, we're lacking that. Where are you going to stay? Comfort Inn up in Berlin? I mean, Thunder Road could be a wicked asset. They could have winter carnivals. They could just so much, but where are you going to stay? I mean, because if it's not a motel now that has the voucher program, where are you going to stay, Barry? You're going to get an Airbnb, which are now being taxed to the hilt. So that's a big. I mean, I'm commerce. I'm business. Barry, you need a commerce before you do it. You need to have a vibrant commerce to make everybody come in here, be it live here or travel to see the buildings, Hope Cemetery. I mean, where are you going to go now? Where are you going to stay? You gotta take your bus here, and then gotta go out. Gotta go get a hotel in Burlington.
Okay.
Again, I don't want to be negative, but this is the stuff I see.
That was on my list too, Don.
The Barry Auditorium is a regional asset, and it's multi-purpose, and the city continues to try to find ways to fund improvements to that asset. And I think it's very critical, obviously, for flood response, but in terms of economic development, Tracy puts on a huge craft fair in the fall that brings thousands of people into the community, basketball tournaments. And so it helps to bring a lot of people in. And I think one of the challenges has always been like, how do we capture as many of those people coming to that asset to come downtown to access the restaurants and the shops and all that kind of stuff? But
Totally.
it is an incredible regional asset.
I agree totally. That's our largest asset. It's the largest moneymaker for the city as well.
I just want to add to that. We fulfilled the recreation coordinator position with Michelle Labarge, and she's really done a lot in a short amount of time. She's doing so much stuff. She's so creative. We're filling a lot of the spaces here on a regular basis, and renting out. So that's been a really great positive change, having that full-time recreation coordinator again. So I'm seeing we sit together and I hear everything that goes on, and it's just a lot more traffic in this building, which has been great.
So I guess I would interpret some of those things for a potential city manager as a commitment to growing the staff for necessary positions. We are thinking just shy of $4 million into the Barre Auditorium through a federal grant. So significant capital improvement. Not only is it already our city's one of our city's biggest assets, we're putting significant capital improvements into it. And we have a robust capital improvement fund and a good, thorough capital plan that we are actually marching through quite steadily. So those pieces are in place. We also have an extremely healthy fund balance that was managed brilliantly during the flooding. So we did not have to borrow for any of our flooding work, and it was massive. We depleted and are now replenishing it with a talented financial staff that has been able to leverage that appropriately and then get the right FEMA reimbursements to bring it back to health. So some of the fundamentals around even the sort of the assets that we're talking about are sound.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the rest of the city finances. How hard is it to pass the city budget? Does the tax base grow? And is there pressure to diversify off the property tax?
We've had a lot of luck in the last few years passing budgets. I can speak about years where it took us 4 times. I can speak of years where we got to July 1 and had no budget and had to essentially shut the city down. I think a good part of that has to do with the way Nicholas approached budget building from a holistic approach, not departments against each other. We literally sit in a room and have a conference, with all department heads, and everybody is welcome to talk about everybody else's budget. And this actually gives us opportunities to find economies of scale, to find ways to partner on things. So there's been and that was a trick he pulled from some other manager, flattery is, stealing. So but because of that, we've had very good success with budgets. We passed a budget this year without being able to tell people what the impact was going to be on taxes, because we're in the middle of the reappraisal. But they understood the way the numbers were laid out. So I think that we've done well with that. As was mentioned, the finance department plays a big role in that, and we have really beefed up the finance department in the last. It's been longer than the 4 years that Nicholas has been here, but he certainly played a big role in continuing that growth. The number of staff members has increased. We've had clean audits. So I think from a standpoint of selling that aspect to potential city managers, they're walking into a city with good financial management, good balanced budgets. I think we're in a good place.
Are you thinking at all about a local option tax, or do you feel like
We've got them.
Yep.
you've got, okay,
Yeah, we've got rooms, meals, alcohol sales.
Great.
And it took us this is back when you had to vote for it, took us several times to get the charter changed approved.
yeah,
And in our charter, the language specifically says all LOT is designated for capital.
cool.
So, puts about 2 million a year in our capital fund. So.
Wow. What are the most significant challenges facing the community?
I would say, if building on that financial discussion, we do well, but it is definitely a lean budget, and that the grand list is growing, but it is not growing nearly as fast as anyone would like to see it growing. For to really take advantage of all those opportunities for growth. And there's been a ton of good focus on that, but that does need to keep going. And it's a challenge to keep going because of the sort of size and complexity of the city.
How many square miles is Barre?
4.
Okay.
3.92, I believe.
Fine, be like that.
Details, Carol, details.
It's
But
it's
it
fun
is
to
a
say
big
less than four.
it is a big challenge of ours that we don't have unlimited space for growth. And infill development is challenging because we don't have a lot of space to put into infill development. It's part of the reason why our new Public Works campus is just across the town line in Berrytown. So
Yep. Great spot for a tax exempt facility.
unfortunately, it doesn't qualify as tax exempt.
Well, it's in their town. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think
But
playing off of what Dawn was saying earlier, I think it's fantastic that we have the auditorium. I think it's fantastic that we're investing in the auditorium. It would be more fantastic if after an event at the auditorium, people were staying here in Barre overnight and not getting in their cars and either driving all the way back home for an hour and then coming back on Saturday, but actually staying here. And so I do think that having those resources available, are the lack thereof, is one of the areas that we really would need to focus on. Obviously, like many communities, we are dealing with a lot of addiction, and that causes a lot of what I would describe as petty crimes, even though I know that the people who are impacted by them may not feel that they're very petty. And I don't want to minimize that, but we have a lot of addiction and mental health related crimes that are happening. And while I understand that the city manager can't solve those problems, it is a small community where it is much more noticed than perhaps you would notice it in a larger community. And um, it's, obviously the same people over and over. And again, that's not the manager's fault, but it's clear that there is a problem in Berry City. It's a visible problem that we can see. And perhaps it's because we are in that 3.92 square miles.
Yep.
Um,
Just to add to that, I will say on a positive note that the council this year, we have brought the bees back, which is going to be a significant help at night, with the streets. And
That's a bike
we also,
patrol for the police department, Dom.
sorry.
Just letting Dom know what the bees are. It's a bike patrol
Oh,
for the police
I'm sorry.
department.
Yeah. And they also pass ordinances, as far as what, where, when, what, people can do in the public. For too long, probably 2 years or so, they've been getting away with, you can't defecate in the park. You can't, shoot up in a porta potty. So I do agree with Renita 100%, but I do believe that we're making strides on that. I just think that the police force is understaffed. And I mean, I know we're spending a lot in overtime, but that's a whole nother subject.
yeah.
you have a drug unit in your police department?
Not really.
One.
They're not trained in it, but
What's that, Brian?
There's not a designated drug unit.
correct.
They're just general officers, and
Sure.
they have a couple detectives.
Just
And they're
planting the
doing what
seed.
they can, but
Right. They're
they just
overlapping with
cannot keep up. They cannot keep up. And then that
90%.
means they're focusing so much on all of these petty type crimes, that things that people are noticing, like speed and dangerous driving, those things unfortunately can't be focused on as much because there's so many other bigger things happening. And I respect and appreciate our police department. They are just overworked. So if you're complaining that someone's doing 30 miles an hour on your 25-mile-an-hour street, it's just not something that they can jump to because they're
Yep.
spread so thin.
Especially when 5% of the people commit 80% of the crime.
Correct.
I mean, I'm not 100% accurate, but it's pretty close to that.
Well, one of the other things that Brian mentioned earlier, that's one of our strengths is, he and Nicholas have done really good work in, improving our infrastructure. But at the same time, there's been so much deferred maintenance of our wastewater treatment facility that it actually is a significant challenge to growth because we just can't get it up to a level that we need it quick enough.
Mhm.
And it just doesn't affect the city. It also affects the town because most of the town is connected into the city's wastewater treatment facility. So it's more of a, it's not just isolating in the city. It's kind of a regional thing because if there's no capacity to bring on a business or to expand a business in the town where the Wilson Industrial Park is, then that just means like we can't bring on additional users onto the system who help pay
Mhm.
for the maintenance of the system. So it's a critical issue, but like Brian said, it had been neglected for so long in that we can only work so quickly to turn things around.
I know that there was a while where it was our wastewater treatment facility was out of compliance with the Department of Environmental Conservation. Did we get that corrected?
It's close.
Okay.
We close to finalizing all that. But like it is this challenge now. But I will tell you right now that we do have a plan, and it is activating in full force. We are in the final stages of our headworks project that should be out to bid probably within a month. And that's the first stop. It's a big domino. It's a $8 million project, but me and my staff have, and with Nicholas's guidance, have that plan in place, and I think it's just a matter of time before we do have that capacity, that additional capacity. But that is, it's a challenge, but I think that issue, as long as we continue with the plan that we have in place, that should be we should be in 5 years from now, we should be in a really good place with that compared to where we were.
I,
So,
I really feel for the public work department and you, Brian, because I totally agree 110%. The infrastructure has been left behind from sewer pipes that are too small to clog, and you got 150 plus, and then all of a sudden you're stuck with this, and then we have to worry about the roads. And so I hear you. Public work department has a lot of work cut out, and I appreciate what they're doing.
yeah, and that's what I was going to kind of comment. That's the challenges that we face is just what Amanda said is, we're doing as much as we can with what we have. But what I have really found out here in the last couple of years is that over the last 20, the budgets have been whittled down to basically a maintenance budget.
Yeah.
I've got a superintendent that is very he's a young guy and it's very eager about getting stuff done, but we just don't have the budget to do project upgrade type of stuff. We're on a maintenance, so that's just it's it's tough to catch up when you don't have the bullets in the gun to do anything. But
Mhm.
we do the best we can, and the council has been very good about getting us what we can. Even this year, they've gotten us more than we can do on our paving budget. So we are actually having to contract out some of the prep work because we just don't have the staff and the do it. But the council has got us the money to go, so we're contracting some of the work out, and we'll get as much done as we can. But that
One
is
of
definitely a
the
challenge is
kind of
coordinating what we have to what we can get done.
springboarding off of these conversations associated with our enterprise fund, the water and wastewater. One of the things that's been on the back burner for a long time has been working to right size our relationship with our neighboring community, Barre Town, who is a significant user for our water and wastewater systems, and we really need to look at that arrangement and right size it so we're getting compensation that covers actual expenses and future development or maintenance. And that is part of a bigger overarching relationship with our neighbors. There really is, unfortunately, some adversarial uh, there between the two communities, and there really needs to be and I think this could be driven manager to manager. There needs to be explorations around economies of scale, ways for us to work together. It's silly that we've got us in the middle of essentially the donut and them surrounding us, but we have, you know, two separate public works departments, and we each have this fire truck, and we each have this, you know, there should be ways to develop some economies of scale and more of a sense of community, because if you talk to the people who live in Barre, they think of Barre. They don't think of Barre City and Barre Town. We're one community. And to find a way to support that, I think could really be driven by manager to manager.
Very good point.
Is there a agreement? It sounds like they access your wastewater plant. Is there an agreement?
There is, it's ancient, and it's kind of been treated like the third rail.
Well, we
So,
are actually under contract with the engineer to do an evaluation and give us a updated intermunicipal agreement. So hopefully, I think right now we're waiting on Barre Town to provide us with their future growth projections so that we can get everything, you know, sized in proportion correctly. But that's, you know, another one of the ongoing um, projects that hopefully will correct our wastewater system.
These are familiar themes.
I will name sort of two additional things. One, I'm not convinced I see this as a challenge, but I suspect that other people would name it as a challenge, which is that Barre holds most of the services for all of Washington County. We have by far the vast majority of affordable housing. We have the free health clinic. We, until very recently, had the only overnight shelter for unhoused people. The courthouse is in downtown Barre, although Montpelier is the county seat. Um, you know, the cynical might say that Montpelier has taken anything it didn't want and put it in Barre. I think it's more complicated than that. But that is, and that is both a point of pride. You know, Renee started us off by talking about how Barre takes care of people and takes care of its own, and we take care of each other, and that is a tremendous point of pride. But it also does mean that we have calls on the city's resources that a similar sized community might not have, who doesn't seat all of the county's services. So it is a both and. And then the other big one is flooding, which I think is gonna is the sort of elephant in the room. Barre has always flooded. Frankly, Barre will always flood. That is going to happen again. Hopefully not on July 10th again, but we have that history, but we also have, and we have tremendous challenges ahead of us to address ways to lessen the impact of flooding and make us a more resilient, climate resilient community. And we are on that path, but there is a boatload of work still to be done. So that's a lot of that still lies ahead of us. And we are thinking, and we have to think, and I think we have been successfully thinking in terms of decades on that.
Is there a strategy or a plan around developing that resiliency, or is that still
Yes,
in development?
I'll send it to you. It's my baby. Yes, we have a citywide flood resiliency plan that council, we actually just this past Tuesday we do a between 6 and 12 month review. We just reviewed it. So I'll send you the plan and the reviewing. And it's actually, I would argue it's been a tremendous success story, is having that plan as a centralized plan to address flood resiliency. We are taking things off. We just briefly mentioned the new city manager is going to get to open a beautiful new public works facility out of the floodplain, whose walls are not made of cinder blocks, that will
Oh
have
my goodness, yeah.
sprinklers,
God bless.
and whose heat is not pouring out of all corners at all times.
What unfinished business is out there? What are loose ends? What's going to be on his or her plate day one?
What we talked about, the public works garage and the headworks project. Those are two that will be ongoing when the new manager starts that will need to be wrapped up.
Brian, Headworks is under
Waste.
construction and not complete, or needs to be?
We are in the very final stages of design, so
Okay.
we'll go out to bid shortly. And like I said, we probably won't even have a contractor under contract before Nicholas leaves. But
You've
so
had a
that
bond vote though and everything?
what's that?
You've had the bond votes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Overwhelmingly successful, if that is a useful factor.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, there's some other projects, 143 North Main, which was a joint venture between Barre Area Development and the city to raise funds to acquire dilapidated property downtown. And the city now owns it, and it's going through a phase 2 environmental site assessment. But the city's been working with Stephanie from White and Burke. With the strategy to do that, but that'll be ongoing. And then obviously the Prospect Heights housing project, that will be an ongoing project for the next several years.
I'm familiar with 143 North Main and I want to come back to it. Tell me about Prospect Heights.
Prospect Heights is a new planned neighborhood out of the floodplain. Was an original site design from 1991, and Barre Area Development resurrected the plan, started to get funding secured through Northern Border Regional Commission. And so right now where it is the city has contract with VHB to redesign it based on the environmental constraints on the site that are known now. We've got all the funding secured. And we just had a meeting with the state today to go over the Gantt chart. And hopefully a year from now, we'll have construction bid documents and soliciting proposals to get the infrastructure done. And we think we'll be able to accommodate 90 to 100 units of housing. Obviously, because there's CDBG DR funds in the mix, there is a requirement. We need to develop 42 units of housing. 32 of those units have to be considered affordable, being available to households 80% or less of LMI. But all the rest of the housing units can be market rate, workforce housing, whatever you want to call it. And we do have two housing developers who have submitted proposals. Those came in on Friday. And the intention is we'll score those next week and make a recommendation the following week to council.
So Josh, who runs point on Prospect Heights? Is that what you do, or is that what the city manager does? Or tell me about the
We've all sort of kind of contributed, but since Nicholas said he was leaving, I've been the point person for everything.
Okay. Who owns the land?
Right
City.
now, it's Fecto residential, but there's a purchase option that the city has.
Okay.
And the city can't purchase it until we get the environmental release letter.
Okay.
I really believe that project was going to be a 10, 15-year project out, but after what Josh just said, I'm a little more positive, and I can't wait to see the proposal to the council.
Oh, we're going to have housing units up there, and they're all going to be up there before, at least the 42, before the end of 2030. So
Sounds good.
Dom, I don't know if you know about the Stevens Branch housing apartments project that's being built on a couple underused Barre City municipal parking lots, right in the heart of downtown. The city is working with DEW and Downstreet to construct a 31 unit apartment building. The city's infrastructure portions associated with Barre and utilities and redoing the municipal parking lot behind, et cetera, is all a TIF project. And construction will be starting in the next month. All the infrastructure work will be completed this building season, and then the work on the building itself will be next year. So
What's that called? Steve
Stevens Branch Apartments.
Right,
Stevens Branch.
by the old Grand Union across the street.
Got it.
32 units, Carol?
31 plus one for a caretaker kind of person. So, and some public some meeting space, because we can't put apartments on the ground floor. But some meeting space, laundry space, storage space on the ground floor, and then apartments above. And it's 1, 2, and 3, and a 3-bedroom apartments. I guess there's a couple studios, and of course, because it's down street, it's all LMI, housing.
So, is your TIF, are there any more TIF debt issuances available, or is this the last one?
No, we've got some additional capacity, and we've got until March of 28, because we've gotten some extensions from the legislature. That's what we're kicking around with regards to 143 North Main Street. We're exploring potential options. If we could just, of course, the city bought it. If we could demo it and remediate the space on spec, but we can't with TIF. So we're looking for different things. We're having conversations with, we met actually last week with DEW to talk about, just sort of some brainstorming, and we don't know
Why do you think you can't demo it on TIF?
well, because that's what VEPSI. Oh, we can demo it and clean it up on TIF, but not without some kind of a development plan to satisfy the but for.
Kara, wasn't it because it was a change of plan use? That's what kind of turned it so we could still get money. I thought it was a different plan from a parking lot to housing. No,
No.
I thought so. Okay.
Okay. It sounds like you want somebody that is comfortable in the economic development realm. Right? You want a deal maker?
I guess who you asking? I
You
want
want
a
a deal maker,
well-rounded.
or you want a compliance officer?
I don't know. I want a growth person who's going to grow the city and care about the people, have an economics background. We're a city, we're a business. Get be ran like one. We need more commerce. That's again, everybody has a different opinions, but I mean, we don't. It's come a long ways, and again, I will give Tracy a lot of that credit. But we need more commerce. We need more businesses. We don't need I mean, all we talk about is low income housing, but we need businesses to bring the great.
So, one of your strengths, you have really strong retail sector, ton of strong small businesses.
Mhm.
One of the stronger downtowns that I've seen recently, honestly. Um, when I said, "Do you want a deal maker?" I saw some pursed lips. People didn't say, "Yeah, that's what we need." Um, is there lack of consensus around growth? Pull back the onion on that a little bit for me.
Yeah, I was one of them. I don't think my reaction was a lack of consensus around growth. I think there's I don't and I would and please others if weigh in on this. I think there's absolutely a consensus on growth. I think that what I was thinking about Dealmaker is that Barry has no lack of deal makers. Um,
Yeah. We
there
certainly
is
got one.
Yeah,
there is no lack of really good ideas and really good energy around moving things forward. The challenge in that I see is balancing those all in all of the plates spinning in the air that might be possibilities seeing what is at what spot. And I didn't want to, when you said compliance, I wasn't thinking, it's not quite as far as compliance, because we actually have some really good strengths on that in staff. I'm looking at Carol. Um, but it's something like project systems project management, like a that level of thing. It's like a I can weigh lots of these really interesting possible projects and sort of balance them all out and keep all the plates spinning until we see which one is the right one. That's sort of where
Yeah. And I think the term like deal maker, it just kind of hit me wrong. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be in the back room shaking hands and, making all these little deals. And no, I know that was not your intention, but it just kind of hit wrong. Um, we want someone who can get these things done, but we want them done thoughtfully. And to Amanda's point, we already have people handling the compliance within our city staff.
Yep.
So I want someone who can get these things done, but that doesn't mean that that person has to be starting the deals by title. They need to be managing these deals and not letting things get run off the rails or they're pushed aside where the city's best interests may not be at the top of the mind of the person who has the idea.
Yeah.
Like I have an idea. I give me 143 North Main Street. I want to make a community center. That's my idea, but everybody else might go, well, where are you going to make us money? And so I don't want a city manager who's going to be like, Renita wants a community center. Let's give her a community center.
Mhm.
When it's not going to make anybody any money. And, I'm a nonprofit. I'd be tax free. So probably lose money. But that's the kind of thing. Like, we don't just need a deal maker. We need someone who's going to manage the deal appropriately for the city. And as Dawn said, we are a business and it needs to be managed that way.
Can you imagine when I was in college in Burlington? I used to love Church Street. Can you imagine if Barry Friday night closed down until Sunday and we had all these eateries and shops and people came in, plenty of parking around the back, Summer Street behind by Metro Way. Man, it'd bring in, you can have restaurants and it'd be like a Heritage Festival every weekend. Church Street
Sounds like a job for Tracy.
while Burlington screwed up Church Street, so let's take it over.
She's gonna kill me, but she is one of my dear friends. So
Added to your list of things to do, Tracy.
yeah,
we
in your
have
spare time.
successfully transitioned some streets to pedestrian walkways and pedways in recent
Yeah.
years, and then like built economic growth alongside them. So that actually there, and there's one other street that I know a couple of folks or at least two streets that a couple of folks are talking about could be really cool additions to pedestrian walkways around the downtown as well.
That
So
would be
ability to build on that already existing strength.
How do you want the manager to work with the mayor? You have a very charismatic, high-profile mayor. Probably, within manager form of government, yours is the highest profile.
well,
Don't let
not
him
to
hear
jump in
that.
again. I think St. Albans and one other city in Vermont are the only ones that or maybe it's reverse that the city manager has more power than the mayor. In our charter, he definitely has more power than the mayor.
Hmm.
But I think they should work hand to hand. I'd like to add to this maybe at another meeting because I have a lot to say about that of what's happened in the last 3 months under council. But again, I think we're lucky because Tom, not only is Tom a friend of mine, but he's a very intelligent man, and what he's done for Barry, no one's done. And Nick is one intelligent man. I mean, what he's done from what he's learned. So I guess keep it short. They need to work together, And I mean, I've read the charter 3 times in the last month. But
Right.
anyways,
And let's be realistic. Our mayor can be reelected constantly and be constantly changing. So we never know what that's going to be. As a volunteer mayor, we never know who the next mayor is going to be. At some point, Tom or possibly Karen is going to stop him from being the mayor anymore.
Mm.
And who knows? We could get a candidate that comes in and, wins it. But at
Talk
some
about
point,
Amanda.
I'm not getting into these conversation, but at some point our
Sorry,
mayor
Amanda.
is going to change and it is a volunteer position. So not everyone who gets elected into the mayor position may have the same background, resources, contacts that Tom Lozon does. And no, I am not putting my name out there. So don't anybody even think that. Uh, and so we've got to make sure that they're working together, but in the appropriate roles. Right now, we have a very strong business-minded mayor. In 5 years, we may not have that same person sitting in the seat. And so we need to keep those kinds of things in mind when we're thinking about the manager position.
If I can build on that, the phrase that came to mind when you asked that, Tom, is positive tension. It is an elected position. It will turn over.
Mhm.
Ideally, we're keeping the next manager for quite a while, so it may turn over a number of times in the tenure of the next manager. That's not news to you. But one thing that will, I expect, remain constant is that Barry has no lack of strong personalities. Uh, between it and that, honest to God, I from the bottom of my heart, that is a good thing. Everyone cares deeply and everyone is deeply passionate. And I expect that to be a central defining feature of whoever occupies any of the seats on the council or in the mayor seat going forward. So by positive tension, I mean someone who can sort of understand that, appreciate that, and know when to stand up to that.
Well,
I'll the same. Go ahead, Tom.
who was the mayor? Was Jacob the mayor when Nick was hired?
Yes.
Uh, I don't know Jacob at all. But it strikes me as that you need a manager who has a pretty flexible leadership style. The space, it's like playing in a band, right? Um, and uh, if you've got somebody who has the strong personality that Mayor Lozon has, you need to adjust to that as the manager, right? So that you're both working in concert. You have different roles, but that might be very different with a different mayor. That was the case in St. Albans, certainly. And so you cannot hire a one-trick pony. Somebody who might work well with Tom, who's maybe a little bit more subservient is too strong, but it's in that realm. Isn't going to work as well with a new mayor who might be saying, I really need more direction from the city manager. I need the city manager to be in a stronger role. And so you need somebody, I think, who has that flexibility in their leadership style and how assertive they are, um, and that takes a very
Yeah.
intuitive person with a lot of emotional intelligence, I think.
And I was going to say that as far as like a staff side, I think I agree. Just what you're saying is, I think we need a manager that knows the different roles. He knows, or whoever, they know their role as manager, but they also understand what the role of the mayor and council and department heads are supposed to be, and that they manage those, keep the guardrails up for everybody, and push back on the mayor when they need to, and encourage the mayor to do more if they need to. So if we do get when we get a different mayor, that if it happens to be someone that since they're a volunteer and they don't have that business sense and that drive that Tom does, that the manager can assist them and kind of maybe even pull them more towards what they need. So I think that's the manager needs to know the roles of the different players and how to maintain those roles.
Can I add two to this? Something that just seconded everything that Brian says, but we are awfully close to Montpelier in more than just physical geography. Barry City is known and a frequent partner with state government, not just in the way they place things in the city, but also we worked very hard during flood recovery to make the repeated case that Barre City deserves and needs a ton of attention from state government. And that can be a tremendously positive thing, but it can also be a very tricky thing to manage. It's not at all uncommon for the manager to testify, and for Carol when she was clerk and now as treasurer to testify constantly in committees because we are a convenient a community to the legislature and to state government. And so those are other relationships to manage. And that is going to be a feature no matter what who is serving an elected office in Barre City. We are going to remain close to the state government and need to work closely with the highest levels of the state government.
Good point. Uh, we're getting at some of this, but I want to just ask the question directly. What leadership qualities are essential for the next manager to succeed? What's at the top of the list?
For me, looking at when we talk about all these different personalities that you have to work with, I would say that the person has to have a high emotional quotient, which is a random request of someone who probably should also be an engineer. Those two seem to kind of I worked with a lot of engineers, and I would say that their emotional intelligence might not have been the highest level, with love to all of the engineers that I worked with. But being able to have, because you shouldn't have to change so much your leadership style as when you're dealing with one person. Your style shouldn't have to change. It's just how you deal with that one person. So, and understanding that that's how that works. Um, and so for me, that would be key because we have a lot of strong personalities, and this is a small community who has no problem emailing the city manager directly when something is not going the way that they would like it to.
Let's pull on that thread a little bit. Uh, Tell me about how the city manager interacts with the public and what's your vision of the city manager's public relations persona?
I was going to
Well,
add thick skin.
he's got to
Yes.
have a thick skin, and he's got to make sure that he has the appropriate assistant that is making sure that his priorities and time are being spent the way that he should be spending them. There should be some sort of a buffer in there.
Okay.
I would like to add in, like I don't know if this was a Nicholas choice or not, but I know that he has taken on the role as doing all the social media for the city. And if if that's I feel like his time would be better spent doing city manager stuff, and he should have an assistant that would do the social media. Again, maybe it was Nicholas's choice to do the social media. I don't know per se, but um and while he's done it well, I think that shouldn't be something that the city manager has to wrangle
Yeah.
day in and day out.
Nicholas and I were talking about this exact thing yesterday or the day before, and he was going to reach out to you. His administrative assistant retired a month, 6 weeks ago. And I have been encouraging him to fill the position so that there's somebody there to support the new manager when they come in. But then the more we got talking about it, the more we talked about, well, maybe leaving it open so that the new person can fill it with whom fits their needs the best. So we're both feeling ambivalent about it at the moment, and that's something we'd love to get a little feedback from you on.
Yeah, I emailed him this morning, and I don't think it's a slam dunk either direction, but I think it comes down maybe 60-40, maybe 65 that you should hire now. The last thing a city manager wants to do is hire his or her assistant in the first couple of months on the job. They need somebody that knows the community and can be their field guide, tell them, help them. Your assistant's job is to prevent you from stepping in it and getting it on your shoe, right?
Totally
And
agree.
that's what he or she's going to need, and you can really help set them up for success if you can find that person.
Yep.
Don't make a bad hire. Don't feel rushed, but if you can find somebody, get them.
Yep. As a
And
career
I
executive
do.
assistant, I would agree. I'm 7 years at the Department of Environmental Conservation. I had five different commissioners. I can't imagine that any one of them would have walked in and wanted to hire a new assistant.
Yeah.
I do want to add that I have had a discussion with Nicholas actually yesterday, so I am gonna work on that search and get that going, Carol. So,
Excellent.
yeah, we did talk about that. So, I'm working on that piece. Yeah.
I want to add to the sort of conversation about presenting to the community. Um, Barre is a decently sized city that feels like a very small town because of its physical space and everything like that. So the manager's face, personality, every statement will be known, perhaps even more so than in a comparable city of this size. And you may experience this time or know more about this, but they are going to be a very much a presence and a personal presence for residents who will not feel, as was named earlier, the slightest hesitation in reaching out to them about anything. So they should be responsive, but also willing to sort of gently set boundaries and enforce boundaries as needed, and sort of understand that balance.
Yeah.
I think communication is really important too. I'm no longer a municipal employee, but I have been. And I think a city manager being able to communicate openly with their department heads and ensuring that information that is critical to the city and implementing council's policies is trickling down to the actual staff in the departments. In other communities that I've worked in, that's always been an issue. Um, so I think that is really important. Delegating responsibilities, and whatever sort of management leadership system that this person should have should be effective at communicating to all of the city's employees the goals of the city and of council.
You were referencing that resiliency plan. Are there any other policy documents that reflect those goals other than the obvious town plan and whatnot? Is
We
there a
have
strategic
a
plan or
capital
anything like
plan.
that? Capital plan? Yeah, okay. Is there anything more? Capital plan is usually pretty financial and infrastructure related. Anything around, and we've talked about some of the redevelopment objectives. Anything like that that says, we want to add housing units or, um,
Yeah, so the flood resiliency plan does consider housing as a component of flood resiliency. We do
okay,
also have a Barre City redevelopment plan that we worked on as part of our CDBGDR applications.
okay.
And we have done two different processes with VCRD. Most recently, the Barre Up process that happened in the immediate aftermath of the flooding.
What
And it
year
was,
was that?
I'm sorry,
What year was that?
2023. It was the
Okay.
fall of 2023.
Yeah.
And that was focused on the flooding, but it was also future focused for Barre City. And then we did their full. So that was the start of a process that they've done with other communities, specifically flood impacted communities, that they sort of
Yeah.
developed with us. So we were the first one, and it was not anything like their full process. We did do their full process in Radita 21, 22.
I think it was 21.
21, I think. Um, and it's called All In for Barry. So we have the report out on that. I'm trying to think if there's been any specific, Josh, do you know if there's been any specific sort of more housing or development studies like that?
No, not that I can recall.
That's good. Are they on your website or could somebody send them to me?
I have a whole folder. I will send it to you.
Perfect. That'd be great.
One other thing that I think is important is that they have collective bargaining
I
experience.
was just gonna say that, Carol. Yeah. Labor relations and our unions here since I started, and Brian can speak up for this. We spend a lot of time in negotiations, labor relations. We have four bargaining units. So we spend a lot of time with that.
And there's a possibility that a new manager would inherit the tail end of the fire department negotiations. They're working on it right now, and they're hoping Nicholas is hoping to have it done before he leaves, but it might not be.
Police, fire, public works, and admin.
Yeah, Steele is our admin.
Yeah, the USW is admin and also maintenance.
Okay. Yeah.
But one
Um,
thing on those is we've just signed 3-year agreements with the other three unions. So, the new manager, as long as we can get fire department done, they'll have at least hopefully a period to get used to it before we have to jump into the negotiations again.
A little breathing room.
tell
I
me
do
about your,
believe that police is 2027 because that went so long.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that negotiation went so long that I believe that one is up next year. But the other three would potentially be done for a while, so that would be helpful.
so who's on the bargaining team when you do it?
It's been Nicholas is always on the bargaining team. Whoever is the department head for that particular union,
Yeah.
myself, the finance director, I believe, right, Brian? That's been
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. I've got, my staff is broke up between the AFSCME union for public works and then the USW for office staff. So I'm part of both negotiating teams.
And then
And
we
then,
have an attorney specifically for labor relations.
Yeah,
Scott Cameron.
Scott Cameron does all our labor relations for all of our contracts.
Oh, you're lucky. Scott's great.
He's
Um,
wonderful. Yeah.
so who takes the lead? Who does the talking? Does Scott do the talking?
yep.
Or okay.
Yep.
Got that.
All right. Um, tell me about the labor management vibe. Barry's a labor town. Um, what are those negotiations like?
Um,
And they're
I'm
probably
Pat
different.
Palmer. We actually just ratified the AFSCME contract with this week. Council approved it this week. It was a long process. I'm glad it's over, but it's we have our struggles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Does the fire department?
None of our bargaining units are very big, and so they can be really personality driven.
Yeah.
I mean, police and fire are probably the biggest, and I don't know if police hits 20 or not, but the other units are pretty small, so.
Yeah. I
Does
would
your
say that
fire-
USW is the smoothest of the four, the steelworkers.
Yeah.
Not in the past. So it
I
does
know
really
this year was
depend.
smooth. This year
It
was
really
smooth.
depends on who the personalities are in the room.
Correct. Yeah.
Is your fire department running ambulance services or are they just fire?
Yes.
They're
Ambulance.
actually more ambulance than fire.
Correct.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm glad they're doing that.
Yeah.
Ours wasn't. Ours were just fire. Um,
Mm.
um, do you want somebody who's a regionalist, who's it helps build regional partnerships, or do you want somebody who can push back a little bit on some of your regional partners, negotiate a better deal?
I'd love to see us be more regional. I think it's one of the things that Vermont desperately needs to make it more affordable, is regionalization. That's a pretty big silo to break down, unfortunately. But if somebody, could potentially see the opportunities or at least not close the door if approached about opportunities, I think it's the future if we're gonna keep ourselves affordable in any way, shape, or form.
I hate disagreeing with Carol, but I want someone who's a homer. And there is room for regional cooperation in that. But I always want people fighting tooth and nail for Berry City. And that does not preclude regional cooperation. Um, but I think that sometimes, or at least I feel emotionally, that oftentimes Barry has to fight to keep its toe in that regional mix and not be dismissed or not be looked down on. And I want someone who will take that personally a little bit and want to fight for that.
I
They're
think
not mutually exclusive, Amanda.
I know, but still.
I would agree with Amanda, um, that someone who I think keeps Barry's interest first, and then, but I agree that, we probably should try to do a little more regional cooperation and projects than we do. But I get the feel, or my feeling is that, just like Amanda said, Barry tends to be looked down upon, and they're the the redheaded stepchild of Central Vermont that everyone looks down on. But so I think a manager needs to be willing to do the regional cooperation in projects, but they need to keep Barry's interest top of the list.
Yep, agree.
Barre has a wastewater plant. Some of those other communities don't.
Yeah.
Yep.
So many
We have a
jokes could
ton of
win.
stuff that other communities don't, and they still,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. We were in a similar boat for many, many years, and we had to uh, change our relationship by shutting off the spigot, so to speak, for a while in order to be appreciated. And then those all got renegotiated. And we ultimately then gave them the water and sewer in exchange for taking on half the police. Saved us $1 million. Just planting a seed. Um,
Well, what that does is that makes me think that you want somebody who can think outside the box.
yeah.
I would, yes, that is totally, really addressing various challenges is going to require creativity and flexibility, and being open to new ideas and being able to bring people along, with new ideas.
Yep, sell the idea.
When you're selling the idea, who does that? The manager or the mayor?
And on the idea.
And I would say the
I,
manager needs to get the council on board, and then the entire board would need to be selling that as well. It needs to be a
Yeah.
collaborative effort. It can't just be on one person.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the board's the focus group for the community, and the board has tremendous capital because they represent the whole community. So the manager's first job is to get the board on board, get the council on board. But then once the council's on board, it's generally the manager's job to go out and sell it. Sell the vision, create the vision, get it done. Uh, and so what I'm getting at is how would the community react to a manager who's playing that role, proposing a regional police department, proposing a new housing project that nobody's envisioned, going to the Rotary Club and the lunch groups and pounding the pavement on an idea that he or she brought to the council, and the council said, "We love this. Now go get it done." How does the community react to that? Is that too high profile for your manager?
I personally don't think so, but I think you would get a divided answer if you walked up and down Main Street and asked every person you saw. You would get a almost 50-50 split.
Tell me more about that.
People want change until the change is presented and it's not what they exactly wanted. Like, fix it. Okay, well, here's my idea. Well, I don't like that idea, but I'm fixing it. But you're not fixing it how I want you to fix it.
one,
Especially
And you
when
could
it has
do
to
that.
do with money, when it's fiscal.
143 is a perfect example of that.
Yes,
143
there we
North
go.
Main Street. We polled the community 5 years ago and asked them, what's the one thing that Berry City needs? And people said, we need to get that building out of the hands of the guys who own it and get it in the city's hands and do something with it. And yet, when we finally had a sales agreement on it, we had people come to the council and say, you're crazy to buy that building. So you cannot please
They
everybody.
also said we needed a community center, but every time that a community center gets presented, it goes nowhere. So it's
Goes,
the
what do you
same.
mean it goes nowhere? The council doesn't approve it or the voters turn it down?
It just has never, nothing has ever developed. There was a committee, even the committee couldn't agree on what a community center actually looked like. I think at the time that Lucas Herring was our mayor, he had an idea for a small community center. And then people balked about where the location of that was. And so it's just, you're not going to make everybody happy all the time.
100%. We're coming up on time here. Let me ask the last two and then we can talk about next steps. Uh, Top priorities for the manager for the first 12 months. Just rapid fire. What are quick ones?
Large funding opportunities for flood resiliency.
I say keep progress moving forward.
Okay.
Build a successful FY28 budget, get it passed.
That's not just maintaining.
Good luck on that one.
I know.
We can work
I'm
on what the
dreaming.
definition of successful is.
Inquire some money for the north end.
100%.
Keeps getting turned down. We've been promised. We had Bernie Sanders sitting on someone's front porch. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Oh, yeah. Where are you, Bernie?
Is that a chip viable project or is it in the TIF?
Not in TIF.
No, it's
It's
how it's
chip
presented.
eligible, but
Yeah.
we have a TIF district, so we wouldn't be able to get a CHIF while we have an active TIF district.
Sure you can. You just can't. It can't be in the TIF.
Well, yes.
Is it in the TIF?
No, the north end is not.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Just we need to rewrite the proposal.
That's the one that got turned down. Had
Twice.
some on it, right? Okay.
Yeah, it got turned down for disaster recovery funding. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are some projects in the north end that have now been shot down 5 times with 5 different federal funding sources.
Who's quarterbacking that team? Who owns that project? Is that the manager or is that consultant driven? Who's driving that?
Not consultant driven. So generally speaking, so there's sort of two complexities to this. The specific projects and the specific applications for them, I would say, has been manager driven with the heavy advice of consultants. We were the river project that provided advice to flood impacted communities, named some of the top priority projects for us, and did some of the design for us on the state's dime. The manager has been sort of, as you say, quarterbacking the funding applications. What we are lacking and what the mayor has announced he will be taking on is a piece of the flood resiliency plan, which is a master plan for the north end that would incorporate the individual projects that we have so far been talking about into a broader vision. If you remember the fall after the flood, the governor came to Barre and said, here's my vision. We've also been unsuccessful in state funding and federal funding. It's not been coming from anywhere. So yes, fully agree that the north end is going to need to be a priority and a focus for the new manager.
Okay. I think I got it. Anything else I need to know? We haven't talked about.
Probably a billion things, but I think this has been I think this has been a really, really good, thoughtful discussion. And thank you to everyone. I've been nodding along with just about everything everyone has said.
One of the questions you had on your list, Dom, was are there capacity gaps, staffing shortages, et cetera?
Yeah.
And I just want to sort of get on the record, the couple of things that I see as needed is grants and project management.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
a huge one, and that has to do with the fact that, we've been running really lean budgets and haven't been able to add that particular staffing capacity. And no manager is going to have enough time to be the grants or project manager. And yet we really need sort of an overarching um, position to be created for that kind of stuff. So just wanted to put that out there.
Okay.
Something I wanted to add too, we have obviously a lot of long-term employees, but we also have a lot of new staff. We have a new finance director, we have a new um, accounts, accounts payable person. We have a lot, a new people in permitting. There's a lot of people long-term, but there's also been a lot of people added into roles in the city. So I think people are still trying to find their ways, and on the employee side of things, that might be a little bit of, I don't want to say a challenge, but a lot of people since I started, there's been a lot of change.
Well, in Public Works is kind of the same way. We've got, there's a group of them that have been here 20, 30 years. And then there's another big group that's in that 5 year range. So
Yeah.
we're missing a whole generation of employees. And it's difficult because those two generation of employees have a different mindset. And it's challenging to keep everyone pulling on the rope in the same direction. But we also have staffing issues too, because I currently have four open positions in Public Works, and we can't get anybody to apply. So that'll be a challenge for them. But I think we might be headed in the right direction with a new Public Works facility. I hope that becomes that becomes a net positive for us, where our existing facility is definitely a negative on both retention and attraction to employees. So again, moving that forward will help, but that's going to be the manager's. Another part is helping. Jeannie does a great job at doing what she does, but the manager will be a big part of that, attraction and retention of employees.
Do you have
I
a
don't
planning
see those
director?
positions even online.
What's that?
DPW.
Yeah, under the city job openings, the only link is for to do a job application or to find out about being a police officer, but there doesn't list any actual jobs.
There's 4 positions listed right now. It's under the HR page on the City of Barre.
Okay.
So we need
Yep,
a
and
new website too, Dom.
Yep. Someone's gonna take over the website. Because if you would just look up careers, it's not listed. There they are. Street labor. Okay,
I'm
thank
actually
you.
serious about that though.
yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have a planning director?
We do
We have a
not.
planner?
Well,
Yes.
no, Janet. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
But she does not have an assistant planner, and that's one of the positions that has been kind of stripped out of the budget every year to get down to where we need to.
Yeah.
Right, she's the
She
zoning
serves as
administrator
our,
too.
excuse me,
She's the zoning administrator also.
and she serves as our grant manager, default grant manager.
Your planning director does all this?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So how many people are in the planning office? One?
Three.
2.
3.
The other one is assessing.
Oh, okay. What Patrick?
Patrick is assessing.
Okay.
And I guess Janet's the assessing manager also.
Yep.
Was
And assessing.
assessor for a couple of years
Just
there.
keep piling those hats up.
She's the department head. She's the
Yeah.
supervisor.
Why don't you let me take a cut at writing this up? And I think we should react to a draft in our next meeting. Um, the Amanda, I'm trying to get a sense. I know we want to move quickly. Do you think we're going to have an interim, or do you think we're going to
I still
sort of?
don't I still don't have a good answer for you on that, Dom. I think that we are going to know much more at the end of June when we know where we are in the process.
Okay. Um, I need a little bit of time just to look at some other commitments before I can schedule the next meeting. If we're going to look at a draft, I just need some time, manage some workflow with some, so, um,
Can I propose then, Dom, I would love to bring us together to talk about public input process on the same questions that you've just asked us. So
yeah,
you can be developing a draft
Mm.
and everything like that, and we can sort of move that along. But I think that we as a committee can meet perhaps sooner than depending on your commitments. You're able to and discuss like how do we want to bring, because I think these are phenomenal questions. How do we want to bring these questions to the Barre community, and what is the survey designed to bring it to staff, and everything like that. So does it make sense that maybe we would meet before you're able to sort of put that draft together and then sort of
yeah,
leapfrog a little?
100%,
Okay.
100%. I mean, they can move concurrently, but I think that's a great idea to move ahead with that conversation. Um, unless there's objection, I'd be inclined to just forward the staff version out, probably through Jeannie and just get some invite folks to weigh in and send me back their thoughts and then I can incorporate that into the draft. That work for the staff?
Good.
Putting it into a like a Wufoo form, so that you get everything together and it's anonymized, would that be a helpful format?
Um, it could depends, it depends on the culture of the organization. And I, I kind of want to hear people. I mean, in terms of the anonymous piece, I usually say, give me a call if you want to talk. So that it's not, there isn't a record of it. But I kind of need to see how people answer,
Yeah, to see if they compare to what we're saying, if it's on the same.
like
Yeah,
it's
I
really
hear you.
qualitative that more than quantitative.
Yeah, I guess I was suggesting frame the question and then provide an open box.
Yeah, okay.
So there is
Yeah,
qualitative response, but that all of the answers to the same question are gathered in one place.
Got it. Got it. Okay, we could do that.
that's
What was the name of the platform that you've used in the past?
I believe the city uses Wufoo. Am I looking
That's
at G
correct.
I
W
think so.
F O O?
Yeah,
We could,
WUFOO. Yep.
and we can work with Chris on getting something set up. I think it's important also from our past experiences with similar public outreach that we have hard copies in a stack in City Hall for people to pick up and drop off.
You're talking public, not staff, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I mean, we might think about that also because I know, I mean, my staff, they all have, smartphones, but not all of them are very computer savvy. And they all, Jeannie will say the same thing as finances. They don't have emails. They don't have, they don't communicate to us with emails. So, if you want to get, half of the DPW staff, it might be better to do some type of a paper um, form.
Yeah, definitely for your group, Brian. Yeah.
I mean, we can do both, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay. Am I hearing you right that the Wufoo platform is an existing city resource and somebody named Chris knows how to operate it?
Yeah.
Chris is our
Chris and
IT
IT.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got an IT guy?
Yeah, we do.
We do.
We used to have a deputy police chief who did it. So this is a step up.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Amanda, do you want to schedule that next meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd like us, because we're a city committee, we're in public meetings, I would rather not warn a special meeting at random times on a regular basis. I would like us to set a regular meeting time for everyone's schedules. Obviously, we will call special meetings as we need to. Um, but looking ahead, does this time block, roughly speaking, work for folks? On an ongoing basis. And I would look perhaps to our next conversation to be this time next week, and then maybe move to an every 2 weeks, depending on what we see moving ahead. So a flexibility within the time block of let's say 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Thursdays. 4 p.m. worked today, but we might tweak that going forward.
If it's Zoom, no problem. Whatever happened to meeting face to face?
I would love to meet face to face going forward. The swiftness of our turnaround today,
I'm just being
and
funny.
that we had Dom up in St. Albans,
Oh, that's true. I never thought of that.
can be tricky. We'll do as much face to face as possible. In fact, I would love for our next meeting to be face to face if we can swing that.
Are
If
we
we're doing
okay
face to
with-
face, oh, sorry, Carol, go ahead.
I was just going to say from an open meeting law thing, are we okay doing Zoom only or should we be having a physical location for the public?
My understanding was that if it's physical, it has to have a Zoom component, but if it's only Zoom, it does not have to have a physical component. That's my understanding of the current status of open meeting law. I will double check on that for everyone. Thank you, Carol.
We can see about the council chambers. I know Thursdays tend to run up against Planning Commission and DRB. So City Hall might not be a possible physical location on a regular basis.
We can look at Alumni Hall as well.
But Public Works Committee are on Thursday evenings or afternoons too.
Okay.
I prefer earlier in the week also, if possible.
Earlier in the
I'm usually gone out of town by Thursday, like I am right now. But yeah. But make it work, whatever I have to do.
Yeah, I don't want to put Tuesdays because we'll run into council.
Yeah, true.
I have with apologies, I have a standing Wednesday.
I can't do Wednesdays in the summer. Sorry, guys.
Oh, that's right. Tracy definitely has a standing Wednesday commitment.
Tracy's got a little something going on in the city.
Farmers market and
Let's just
concerts.
contemplate it and then let us know. We can go.
Yeah.
It really needs
All right.
to now.
Please, all right, I'm going to put this out here. Please reply to me individually, but looking at next week at 4 p.m. for certain. And then please take a look at your schedule further out for Thursdays in that time period to be a regular meeting spot as going forward. And if you have any major conflicts with that, or please also take a look at Mondays so we have a backup day, everyone.
If we're gonna do in person, I can't be there at 4. I would have to have until 4:30.
Okay, that's good feedback. Thank you. All right. With that, so let's plan for sure. I will get the agenda ready and we'll get it posted tomorrow for a meeting for next Thursday, and we will call that our regular meeting time so that we can make sure we warn that. And just a very last brief thing. I know I had sent out an email saying that this committee is a city committee subject to open meeting law. If you are not familiar with open meeting law, please, I sent out some resources to VLCT. Please revisit that. The major components are to know that we are all on a recorded meeting. This will go up to the city website, as well as the minutes of this meeting will go on the city website. Please do not email the entire committee with anything other than a scheduling issue or converse with the entire committee on anything other than a scheduling issue. And please be aware that we do have to make quorum. So it's important that we know if you're not able to make a meeting in the future so that we can make different plans if we need to. We will be using executive session later on in this process when it comes to the confidentiality of candidates and applications. So please know that once we get to that point, executive session will be privileged and confidential information and should not be shared even with your partners. Maybe if your dog isn't smart enough to share it, you can share it with your dog. My dog probably would share it because she talks constantly. But please don't share the contents. Not even please don't, do not share the contents of executive session. We hold not only trust for the city itself, but for the candidates who are applying. And we want to do right by them as well. And we could endanger their current status as well as Barre City's future possibilities. So with that lecture over, I just wanted to make sure everyone aware that that's the nature of the work we are doing as a public body of the city of Barre. So next Thursday, 4 p.m., we'll start the discussion of public process and how we will bring these questions to the broader Barre community. And I will turn it back over to Don.
All right.
I could probably hit the 25th for a draft for you. If you were thinking meeting a week and then your next one every 2 weeks. If that feels quick enough, I can commit to that.
I think that feels good to me.
Okay.
Dom, is there anything to be gained by sharing the draft in advance and getting feedback? Or do you think it's better to just do it all as a group?
I don't like to write by committee. And so what I might do is send something out. If you're okay with this within the protocols that Amanda just established, I would send something out and then folks would email back to me individually, but not copy everybody. And
That's how we did the job description.
that'll allow me to present you with something that's further along on the 25th. And if all the comments are all over the place, then maybe we'll get together and talk about it. But I think that's a great idea.
I would love just previewing our conversation for next week. I would love also for us to be looking at that week and the week following for some public input opportunities so that we can run that input all in parallel. And I realize that's fast. I will acknowledge that.
That's all I got. I think that's a great plan. You guys are moving quick, moving well.
All right.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you very much, everyone. You will get an agenda from me by tomorrow morning, get it posted up on the city website. Please, start your brain thinking about ways that you think we can and should engage the public around these questions, and how we can sort of keep getting feedback and make sure people are feeling heard as part of this process. So.
Okay.
Right.
Great.
Thanks.
Good night.
Thank
Thanks,
you, everyone.
everybody.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.